Hello everybody, this is Dr. Ergin. I am today talking about the abs diet. Now I have nice straight belly, right? That's what everybody is striving for. That's not only for the looks, but also the feeling. You feel great, you feel energetic when you don't have a lot of abdominal fat. I don't know if he's a doctor actually, Dave Zinczenko came with this diet. Yeah, he is pretty famous. I don't follow him necessarily, but when I looked at this diet, I found it intriguing because I think it makes sense for many people. It's not going to work for everyone. Dave Zinczenko is the vice president and editor, I think, for Men's Journal, Women's Journal, etc. So he's a pretty well-known personality. You can check him out. He also has a book about this abs diet if you want to check it out. Now, this is not a sponsored video, by the way, so I can tell you that we are not getting paid for it. I'm just giving you the information. Abs diet includes certain foods that you need to eat 3 times a day. And if you need to eat snacks, you need to include these foods in those snacks. Now, you have to be very careful. If you're a diabetic, if you're a pre-diabetic, it's even worse if you have been diabetic for 10, 15 years because things become harder to control because there are some carbs in this diet. Now, having said that, the biggest part of this diet is exercise. So if you are the person who will say, no matter what you tell me, I'm not going to exercise, then that will not work for you because you have to have certain carbs that you will burn as a fuel, but it's not going to get stored as a fat. But if you don't burn those calories, any calorie, that doesn't matter, carbohydrate, protein, or fat, will turn into fat eventually and will be stored because any calories that are not spent has to be stored. Now let's look at what is really in this diet. Now I'm going to go alphabetically so it's easy to remember. So almonds and other nuts. So almonds are my favorite. Right, there's a great snack. We talked about this in other videos as well. And most nuts are good. You have to keep them fresh though. So if you have a bunch of nuts sitting there for like a year or two without a tight seal or something, yeah, fungus accumulation in there could be a problem. So they sell those nuts that are in single pouches, to use one time. That's probably the best way to use the nuts safely. For those people who are afraid of oxalates, just have some dairy in your diet because dairy will bind oxalates in your intestinal system. And as a result, you don't have to worry about the stones because oxalates cannot really turn into stone in your kidney unless it is absorbed through your intestinal system. So pay attention to that. Now, B is beans. So beans and legumes. A lot of people, are not used to it, but if it is part of your diet already, try to incorporate that. Again, portion control is important. You cannot have a big bowl of the beans. We're talking about a cup of beans, for example, for serving. So dairy is another part of this diet. Of course, when you're eating dairy, it has a lot of benefits. So try to eat full-fat dairy. That's actually going to keep you, fuller longer. Dairy has a lot of probiotics in it. That's great for your gastrointestinal health. But of course, you don't want to do excessive. Some people just drink whole milk, especially anything liquid will be absorbed quickly and will spike your blood sugar quickly. So pay attention to that. Now, eggs. Eggs are important, right? So some people are concerned that the eggs are maybe going to raise your cholesterol, but in reality, there's so much benefits to eggs that the tiny bit of increase in cholesterol may not be a big deal because you're going to have all the other benefits such as keeping your blood sugar down, reducing the inflammation, there's all the vitamins in the eggs and keeping you full longer. Now, for those people who are not big into eggs, you can definitely do extra protein powder. Whey protein, for example, has been shown to help blood sugar. So if you're into smoothies and stuff like that, then definitely you can use that extra whey. Now, olive oil and oatmeal are next. Now, olive oil is extremely important. As you can see, I have a bunch of olive oil. I keep it here. I actually even have something called, I don't know where my wife hid it now. It is olive oil milk, which I have never heard of it until I traveled to Turkey. And then someone said that this olive oil milk is actually used as a medicine. Nobody actually using it for cooking or even on salads. They use it like a syrup every day because that has so much polyphenols or flavonoids in them that they have to use 10 times more olives to create that olive oil milk compared to any other cold pressed olive oil, which is interesting. So check it out. Now, peanut butter is another one that you already know. We talked about this. Peanut butter is very healthy, especially if you're making your own peanut butter or you're buying from a whole food store. that is not contaminated with preservatives and things like that, that's probably your best bet, and it's delicious, right? So it keeps you full and it's part of this diet. Oatmeal is in there. I know a lot of people will say oatmeal will spike your blood sugar, but think about it. If you have a small amount of oatmeal that is mixed with some peanut butter, right, and some nuts on top of it, you are using very little oatmeal, like maybe half the cup with the oatmeal and the other half is filled with peanut butter and the nuts. Definitely your blood sugar is not going to spike as you might think. As is the spinach and other leafy green vegetables. So in any good diet, if they're not talking about green leafy vegetables, trash that diet because that's not going to help you. Even for a carnivore diet that concentrates on eating meat only, you have to have green leafy vegetables, because green leafy vegetables are extremely important, because green leafy vegetables are prebiotics, right? So it helps produce the microbiome in your intestinal system. It feeds the good bacteria that you need for a great healthy intestinal system. Of course, you have to have meat, right? A lot of people want to have meat. You know, it's great you can have turkey, chicken, or red meat. Try to go with the lean cuts for those. Of course, you know, you can have fatty parts too, but then your cholesterol can really soar. And if you don't mind that, or if your portion is very small and that's what you enjoy, I think it is okay to have a little fatty part of the meat as well, as long as you're not overdoing it, because at the end of the day, fats have the highest calories, right? So 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So if you're having lean meat, you know, you're getting 4 calories per gram, versus fatty meat, you know, you're getting 9 calories per gram for that fat part in that meat. And for those people who cannot give up on bread, right? So this diet allows a little bit of a whole grain bread, and that has to be a real whole grain bread. So if they're putting the whole grain bread on the shelf for you, that is like just sitting on there for like 2 days, that's probably not a good whole grain bread. Why? Because anything healthy and organic will actually go bad pretty quick. So if things are sitting in there, like people make fun of Chick-fil-A, right? So Chick-fil-A chickens will sit in the room temperature for like 2 months, and not even a fungus will touch it. You know, you can tell how healthy for a human being all those oils that they're using in Chick-fil-A or any other fast food stores. Now, this diet is not only about, like I said, feeling good and, you know, looking good, but also has a lot of benefits, immune benefits, right? So you have bone benefits, you have muscle benefits, you have stronger muscles because you're working out, because the diet has to be complemented with the exercise, and you have a good heart health because all of these foods are going to give you the best cholesterol, the best nitric oxide, and the best probiotics in your system. So that's all you need, a healthy gut to be overall healthy. If your guts are not healthy, if you're not putting the right things in your gut, nothing is going to be healthy, including your immune system. You're going to end up developing insulin resistance and everything else. If you are going to say that these foods are going to spike your blood sugar, then you probably need to look for other alternatives. Everybody is different, of course. Any other diet we talk about in this channel can help you. Also look into finding ways to exercise more. Find ways to complement your diet with certain supplements. And if necessary, sometimes medications. Of course, we like to keep medications to minimal, but sometimes they're necessary evil and you have to take them. And actually, there are some medications out there with proven benefits. So as a doctor, your doctor needs to be really careful about choosing the benefits versus risk ratio. So your benefit has to be really on the high side before considering a medication. Of course, anything comes with a risk. Even supplements, right? So when you take supplements, people think that the supplements or herbs are without any risk. Everything has a risk. Of course, they're more natural. They have much less risk. They are not as potent. They are not hard to disrupt by the body or metabolize. So think about it, like medications are designed to stay in your system a long time. Food or herbs are not the same way. So your body can metabolize an herb from a supplement a lot faster compared to a medication. You have better bones. However, you know, you can develop an allergic reaction to an herb. You can have a side effect to an herb. It's not like you're taking an herb or a supplement, you're bulletproof. So everything has a risk, but remember, improving your diet is one thing, but eating the right things, not for the blood sugar only, but also improving your overall health, because blood sugar is only one part of it. So remember that even if some diets will make you feel great initially, that may not be to your best interest in the long term. So think about that as well. And always, always do your own study. Do not blindly believe to any doctor or chiropractor or holistic doctor. Make sure you do your work, but trust their opinion as well. So they are there to give you the opinion, and you're the one final decision maker. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again. And make sure to write a comment. Make sure to say something in the video. And I'd like to hear what you are doing with the different types of diet. And it's a great community, so we are learning from each other. So talk to you later. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this channel so far, and I hope you subscribed already. If you didn't, do it. And if you did, watch this video right there. I think that will help you too.